Greetings, superior beings, greetings, supreme being. Welcome to the Future channel for Universal Peace on YouTube. This is the broadcast cost of the NASA hoaxes, cost of all NASA scans combined. Today is the 15th of April, Sunday, and let's go to the text we want to read immediately. So, also be sure to check out my previous video. It's listed by the speech engine in the beginning of the readout of this wonderful text. You all can always find all my channels, Facebook pages and YouTube and other pages, web pages, via universalpeace.jimdo.com.
My latest YouTube video upload 15th of April 2018, NASA hoaxes, Apollo moon landings fake, Hubble, Mars rover and ISS fake as well, no trill for nukes, no blood for cancer oil. Must control factors that control aging, radiological water filter, storable food. My latest YouTube video upload 15th of April 2018, NASA hoaxes, Apollo moon landings fake, Hubble, Mars rover and ISS fake as well, Earth is oblong, the moon landings are fake beyond any reasonable doubt, NASA Masons, sound on the moon as we see in the NASA vids is impossible, and satellites must be real if they are observable from Earth. Nice shirt. Check my channel for more info. I'm a conspiracy factist. We need control of the factors that control aging. Reasons space travel may be impossible. 1. Van Allen belts. 2 belts of deadly radiation people have to travel through if they ever want to reach the moon. 2. The vacuum in space. No air, water or road to push. The reason a U-2 spy plane cannot enter space, not even low Earth orbit. 3. The extreme temperatures in space. 4. Space debris. It ain't gravity. NASA hoaxes. 1. Apollo moon landings are fake beyond any reasonable doubt. 2. Space station hoax. Fake station or real station? Fake astronauts bubbles in space, video anomalies, green screen chroma keying, could be fake, but if you can see the station from Earth it is either a hologram or real. 3. Mars rover, no Mojave desert squirrels on Mars. Probably fake.
So there are no Mojave desert squirrels on Mars yet. We see them on the picture supposedly taken by the Mars rover. Here is one of them. There's another picture also showing a Mojave desert squirrel. This is original NASA material. And in my previous video you can see the video that is the best evidence that proves that the Apollo moon landings are fake beyond any reasonable doubt. The video of sound on the moon in one of NASA's videos. In several videos we see astronauts moving objects and we hear the noise they make, which is impossible in a vacuum, and this proves beyond any reasonable doubt it was shot in the studio. Of course, also there are top 10s of things that prove the Apollo moon landings are fake, often made by controlled opposition, people that pretend to believe the Earth is flat, to cover up these NASA hoaxes, these NASA scams. And of course they've stolen billions of taxpayer money. We get to the amount later. So I advise you all to check it out. And flat earthers are often the ones that show you stuff that proves things beyond any reasonable doubt, and they mix the truth, important truths, with lies to be able to label you as an insane conspiracy theorist. Alex Jones may call himself a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy factist, so I keep clear what is fact and what is fiction, or what is not fact, basically. And also I've made a list of conspiracy facts, and of course the list of countermeasures, top 10 depopulation methods and countermeasures on this channel, the Future channel on YouTube, all reachable via universalpeace.jimdo.com. Hubble is also fake, etc. We get to that later. Let's first continue the broadcast. So the Earth is oblong. In reality, Earth is not flat.
4. Hubble. Stronger microscopes and planes, not investigated enough to say it's fake or real. 5. Chinese moon rover, faked by Chinese Freemasons. Many believe SpaceX of Elon Musk is fake as well. Glitches in video are not evidence, but there may be other evidence and anomalies interesting to research. Join the anti-global government movement, a GGM. Everyone must watch what may very well be the best documentary ever made. A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon is a 2001 film written, produced and directed by Nashville-based filmmaker Bart Ziprel. The Apollo moon landing hoax is not a conspiracy theory, the Apollo moon landing hoax is a conspiracy fact. Beware controlled opposition. Is CERN a concern or not? Ah, can CERN perhaps make us all eternal, please? It's all or nothing, now, lol. For the rest of eternity we are energy, pupils. As every householder knows, when the domestic cat narrows its eyes to slits, it does so vertically. Sheep, deer and horses however have eyes with horizontally elongated pupils. Shape-shifting reptilians do not exist. The flat Earth does not exist. NASA uses VR lenses and real-time CGI, computer graphics imaging, to give the illusion there are objects floating in their spaceship in weightlessness. The objects are inserted in real time and are generated by a computer. The objects do not really exist, but the astronauts see them on their VR lenses, so they know exactly what the position is of the objects the viewers see as well, thus giving the illusion they are handling these objects in space. They use the word debunking instead of evidence and proof to prevent people from finding out what they did was a crime, and to avoid a trial. They should be in jail. The use of the word debunking gives away they are trying to cover up for the NASA Freemasons. Cost of the NASA hoaxes, cost of the NASA scams, Apollo program, Project Apollo, $25.4 billion, 1973, Space Station, ISS, the most expensive single item ever constructed. In 2010 the cost was expected to be $150 billion. This includes NASA's budget of $58.7 billion, inflation unadjusted.
So first let me talk about these VR lenses. So the astronauts, some people call them, are actually wearing VR contact lenses. This is also covered on YouTube by several YouTubers. And they use real-time CGI, so they can edit in objects, seemingly weightless objects floating in space, like this head, and perhaps this dude thought he was catching that cap and putting it in the place where it belongs, basically. So you can see he thinks he's grabbing an object and putting it somewhere, and he can see that through his lenses. So he sees these objects that are generated. That head may also be computer generated. And this is found in several YouTube videos. This is Worst NASA Live Fail Ever, Augmented Virtual Reality, uploaded by Blunder Astronaut. Oh yeah, and the Flat Earther video might actually be better, of this Flat Earther. So he's basically copying material of this Flat Earther. That may be the original video. I can check that out as well. I know I downloaded it, but I don't know which one it is. But I know it's uploaded by Flat Earther Talk. So this is exactly how NASA fakes everything.
I'm going to show you in this video how NASA fakes zero-G without a comment or...
And then so here you can see the harness of the person, basically. They claim it's not an antenna. Others, they may, of course, the NASA Masons, these NASA Freemasons running these hoaxes, these scams, may come up with the best plausible answers that most people would believe based on their brain map. Everybody could be brain mapped with a neural network, that's synthetic telepathy, but that's another subject I've covered in previous broadcasts. It's the Malech patent of 1974, explaining how they remotely monitor and alter brain waves. And if that's true, no one would believe it if they're all brain controlled. No one would believe it because the perpetrators would give them the idea that it's ridiculous and they'd never attempt to switch off the brain control machine. And they are after more power, Jesuits and Masons basically. Some people want to depopulate the earth, which is of course an insane idea to get rid of 7 billion people. And that's one of the reasons for the existence of my anti-global government movement, and I hope you all join it. And that can be by contacting me and supporting me with likes and subscribes to prevent them from depopulating the earth and to create a perfect society in which we all will live happily eternally instead, to control the factors that control aging and time. So these flat earthers are usually controlled opposition. Of course you have people that really believe all the BS, that think that the earth is really flat. So I sometimes make the joke the earth is cubical. And it's easy to prove the earth is spherical. There are 3 things. One is that the moon also looks spherical from Earth. So that makes it very likely that the Earth is spherical as well. Weightless objects in space that are weightless float around, and if you put water or fluid in space, then it becomes ball-shaped because there is no gravity. And the Earth consists for about 75% of water, without which life may have been impossible. Abiogenesis, formation of life from matter, may be impossible without water. So that's one of the conditions for life. And but I was explaining why the Earth is spherical beyond any reasonable doubt. It's oblong, it's not a perfect sphere. You can overlook a bay, and then the buildings on the other side of the bay, if the bay is wide enough, will seem to be partially underwater because of the Earth's curvature. You may need binoculars or telescope for that. You may also be able to observe it with your bare eyes. And the third one is the Coriolis effect. There are YouTubers, there's one YouTuber at least, that uploaded a video that shows the draining of a pool, a swimming pool, and that person went to the northern hemisphere on Earth, northern part of Earth basically. This I'm pointing it out with the mouse pointer. This is north and this is south. So they were on the northern hemisphere where they drained the pool, and because of the Earth spinning, that spin, the twirl it makes, is counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, and they also drain the pool on the southern hemisphere, and there it is clockwise. And hurricanes and tornadoes also spin in that direction, in different directions on the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So that's the Coriolis effect that also proves it. So I could talk more about controlled opposition, David Icke, Alex Jones, Kevin Annett, fake priest with fake court, and Eric John Phelps of Vatican Assassins. So it's interesting that they mix important truths that they don't want us to know about with lies. Often also they use book quotes, supposed book quotes that are not attributable to the person they claim they are attributable to. Anyway, that's a different subject. Controlled opposition exists because they want to prevent any real resistance to their depopulation and their imposition. They want to impose the Satanic Luciferian totalitarian global government upon the people of planet Earth, and they control these leaders, Putin and Trump and many others. Supposedly Adolfo Nicholas is behind it all, and they do that from behind the scenes. So that's according to Citizens Action Network on Facebook. They control the intelligence agencies including Mossad, MI5, MI666 and NSA, which may be the only ones, the only people that have synthetic telepathy equipment, a voice of God weapon that can remotely torture and murder people with these directed energy weapons, which they lie about. So their technique is the satanic inversion, depopulating Earth and maintaining an advantage over the rest of the population by lying as much as possible to the people, to gain wealth and power for themselves. They're tribal, so they do murder and torture people for the group, what they consider their enemies, and they've usually taken an oath. So there's a reason these societies are secret. They also control the police and judges, so I try to keep the most important stuff in all my broadcasts. But now for the important part of this broadcast. I've covered the VR lenses. There are other videos also of Tim Peake. So it's clear these are not shape-shifting reptilians anymore. I can show that video. I also downloaded it, I think, though I think it's not good evidence. This other video that I've shown with the astronaut with the green shirt is better. So here in this video it's strange that his eyes turn into squares, at least one of them. And they will try to explain it away by claiming that it's because they're broadcasting this live from space. It's a digital broadcast. If you have a digitanna or satellite dish and reception is bad, for example lightning, then you get the same types of glitches in the video. So this here looks like a square there. You see? Square, and here also more or less square. And you could argue that it's just not digitized properly, and that may be what happens. Sometimes it's hard for the computer to do the computer graphics imaging correctly. So now the cost of the NASA hoaxes, the NASA scams. Here we go.
They use the word debunking instead of evidence and proof to prevent people from finding out what they did was a crime, and to avoid a trial. They should be in jail. The use of the word debunking gives away they are trying to cover up for the NASA Freemasons. Cost of the NASA hoaxes, cost of the NASA scams, Apollo program, Project Apollo, $25.4 billion, 1973, Space Station, ISS, the most expensive single item ever constructed. In 2010 the cost was expected to be $150 billion. This includes NASA's budget of $58.7 billion, inflation unadjusted, for the station from 1985 to 2015, $72.4 billion in 2010 dollars, Russia's $12 billion, Europe's $5 billion, Japan's $5 billion, Canada's $2 billion, and the cost of 36 shuttle flights to build the station, estimated at $1.4 billion each, or $50.4 billion in total. Assuming 20,000 person days of use from 2000 to 2015 by 2 to 6 person crews, each person day would cost $7.5 million, less than half the inflation-adjusted $19.6 million, $5.5 million before inflation, per person day of Skylab. Others list 100 billion, Space.com, Mars rovers. There have been 4 robotically operated Mars rovers, Sojourner $25 million, Opportunity $400 million, Spirit $400 million as well, and the Curiosity rover $2.5 billion USD, 2012, according to NASA. Total cost for just the rovers, $3,325 million. Mars Pathfinder, Mr. Pathfinder, is an American robotic spacecraft that landed a base station with a roving probe on Mars in 1997. The Mars Pathfinder mission cost approximately $265 million including launch and operations. Development and construction of the lander cost $150 million and the rover about $25 million. Hubble, from its original total cost estimate of about $400 million US, the telescope cost about $4.7 billion US by the time of its launch. Total cost of the NASA SCAMS, $183 billion, including the cost of the Mars Pathfinder mission plus the lander, $183,840 million.
So this estimate, excusez-moi, this estimate is actually too low, probably because it just calculates the cost of the space stations and rovers and the telescope, of the physical equipment, not of the training of the crew and the cost of the missions, the fuel and other things. So this is just the basic amount of 183 billion. If they would have spent it on control of the factors that control aging, then perhaps we would have had control of the factors that control aging now. So I hope you all try to channel it to controlling the factors that control aging instead of fake trips to Mars, etc. Or perhaps they're pretending to be going to Mars and they're spending it on control of the factors that control aging instead. Perhaps they're smarter than I thought. So that's it. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Took quite some time, but now it's there. And then I can also watch the other video, for example, of the astronaut sound in space. Sound in a Vacuum, uploaded by Daniela S. Also here on YouTube. Beginning as music. Audio analysis summary. So here we'll be able to observe NASA's own video material showing sound on the moon. So the astronaut handles a plate, he drops that, and we can hear that drop very clearly. So we hear the plate dropping, and that's impossible on the moon. In a vacuum there cannot be sound. So this is totally absurd. It's totally impossible. People can also do experiments with a vacuum chamber to prove that sound cannot travel in a vacuum. So the video you see on YouTube demonstrates it as well. But to be absolutely sure, you'd have to do the test yourself. Test everything you learn, basically. They are attacking my throat, I think. Very annoying. So then you have the vacuum chamber, a glass jar that is full of air, and then they pump the air out of the jar. And there's a bell, a ringing bell in that jar that you hear ringing, and then when they pump the air out, then you will notice that the sound disappears. The ringing of the bell cannot be heard anymore, because to hear sound you have air molecules, and then you have the human ear that has these bones, an eardrum, and the vibrations against it by these air molecules that basically guide or guide the sound, the vibrations to our ear. The vibration of the air molecules vibrates our eardrum, our ear bone, and that is translated by the brain as sound. That's how we can hear sound, perceive it. So that's impossible in space. The only noise you would hear is the breathing of the astronaut through the microphone of the astronaut's helmet, and perhaps also some noises if the suit is basically bumped. But in the vacuum we would definitely not be able to hear that plate fall. And there are other NASA videos showing sound on the moon, which is the best evidence that proves the Apollo moon landings are fake beyond any reasonable doubt. And often it's left out of these top 10s we see online of things that prove that the Apollo moon landings are fake, that the Apollo moon landings are a hoax, a scam of the NASA Freemasons. So, what else can I show you today? Well, you can all watch these documentaries. Some listed as a BBC documentary, DP8 on YouTube. Though he may have thought that it was a BBC documentary basically. But in reality it's a funny thing happened on the way to the moon by Bart Sibrel, 163 MB. And I guess many people have already seen it with the nice narrating voice.
Races was never finished, and inside of their shielded spacesuits saw flashes of light with their eyes shut that they described as shooting stars, due to radiation penetrating first the shuttle's shielding, then their spacesuit shielding, then their skulls, and finally the retinas of their closed eyes. As a result, CNN issued the following report noting NASA's unpredicted surprise.
So that's a really good documentary for everybody to watch. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon, uploaded by Bart Sibrel himself, created in 2001. Simpsons predictions. Trump overspending is the prediction, and then Hillary becoming the next president, according to some interpretations. And I've covered other Simpsons predictions, lava in the US, etc. Big disasters in previous broadcasts. So I think that's it for now. Please like and subscribe and check out my other videos for a better future and for universal peace. So this is basically the end of the broadcast now. I'm not seriously broadcasting anymore. It may become horrible. So perhaps it's best to check out my other videos now. A radiological water filter and storable food. It's good to be prepared with all these weapons of self-destruction supposedly surrounding us all. Many people believe that nuclear weapons are real. What do you all think? I'd love to hear more from you all. Of course, I can also see it via other channels and stuff. But more about these subjects, about these ridiculous NASA spendings. So it may be an idea to rewind and listen to certain pieces of this broadcast. I've thought about putting all my documents online. I've written thousands of documents and then giving everybody access. But in some of them I was tortured with directed energy weapons in the past. In some of them I may have written illegal things. I think not. I think I've always corrected that if there was anything illegal in it. And now I also censor anything that could be in violation of the YouTube policy. People can Skype me to be live in this broadcast, to talk about anything for fun, and there may not be many viewers because somehow I may be blocked by Google and YouTube search engines, so then people wouldn't find this video unless they're really actively hunting for my video and know what they're looking for. Best to find it via universalpeace.jimdo.com, that has all my channels listed. And I need your likes to be able to change the URL into the future channel on YouTube. Then it will be user/thefuture instead of a number that is quite hard to remember. But I think that won't make much difference. The difference is whether the search engine finds your videos or not. And listing it in the Google URL database, that's one thing you have to do basically. You have to list them with Google. They have a website where you can apply your URL, and otherwise it will not be found by Google, no matter how long you wait. You have to wait for an hour. And I share everything I know with the people to create the future we all want and to do what is most logical. That is not depopulating ourselves. That's the most illogical and illegal thing we can do. It is controlling the factors that control aging, possibly with time travel technology. I know time travel is real, time travel is possible. And the way they do that at the moment is with synthetic telepathy, wireless energy of Nikola Tesla, aka also known as scalar waves. And they can watch through our eyes, so they can show us the future as seen through our own eyes, through a camera, through other people's eyes. So that is the neural network, and that technology, of course, they want to keep it secret, so then perhaps nobody is trying to develop something to use that same time travel technology to make us all eternal. And the quantity of listeners is not important, so I hope NSA and MI5, MI666, etc., God save the team, is listening, and that they do what is necessary to survive it themselves. Only think about yourselves, good old boys. This is an old boy Corona lighter. Hate that I cannot show you my Sony camera, the outside cam. So I want to check if I can solve that open broadcaster software somehow, but not in this broadcast. So the problem is I can add the Sony camera, but it doesn't show up in the settings. The image is not displayed. Plus video capture device, add existing, and make a new one, and then here should be a thumbnail of the camera showing the image. And for the HP webcam it doesn't work either, though it is working at the moment. It's this camera. So if you know how to fix it, please Skype ProLogic999. People can always Skype to be live in my broadcast. Oh yeah, the other desert squirrel picture. Let's see. Squirrels on Mars. Are there squirrels on Mars? So the reason for these hoaxes may be just the money. Of course, they want to pretend UFOs and other BS to cover up their crimes. But you can see how much money they made. And only a few people have to be in on the hoax. NASA totally found a squirrel on Mars and didn't tell anybody. So this is an original NASA picture, easy to find on the official NASA website. And actually they are Mojave Desert squirrels. That's where they shot the Mars rover's material. I didn't even know they had 4 of these things. So this is the whole image. This is the size of the squirrel on the whole NASA image. And this is the squirrel blown up a bit. Perhaps Google doesn't list it. I know there's another picture with a squirrel on it. Perhaps if you look closely you can find more of them on these other pictures, supposedly on Mars. That's a rock that looks like one. But here it's like they've added it in grey. So that doesn't really look like the other pictures supposedly of Mars. Oh, well, here we see some grey on this one. And this is pretty grey as well, so this is quite the same. But this clearly looks like a Mojave Desert squirrel, and on the other picture that I found as well. But the thing is, they've destroyed my previous hard disk, so I may not be able to find it. So with wireless energy it's very easy to pop lights above people's heads and control animals and humans remotely, and control any electronic appliance, and of course electronic voting machines as well. So I don't believe in electronic voting. Any leaders supposedly chosen with electronic voting are not accepted as leaders by me, and I don't accept the vote count, if you want to call it that. But there's plenty of other material online that may all be to hide the manipulation of voting results with wireless energy of Nikola Tesla. Same thing to crash these fly-by-wire planes, they are called, into the WTC. So yeah, they can also modify our vocal cords directly, they can control muscle movements. A person's bioelectric field contains their EMG, muscle movements, EKG, electrocardiogram, electromyogram, and the brainwave. So their heartbeat is the strongest signal in that bioelectric field, and the other two, besides the brainwave, you have their heartbeat and muscle movement. Though you could argue that the heartbeat is also muscle movement. They can block memory selectively. Trying to think of the term for the brainwave. EEG, electroencephalogram, electromyogram, and electrocardiogram. It's all because of the NASA hoax. I have no food. You have no food because of the NASA hoax. I know there's another one. I think this could just be a rock. This is probably a rock. Even. 'Cause Ah, this is perhaps no, I think it was a squirrel as well. I've covered it in my previous broadcast, but my channel was removed, so... Ah. Okay, we can read this also, the Daily Mail Go UK. So it may be a form of controlled opposition, mainstream media, fake news. So it may be another psyop to hide the desert squirrel, Mojave desert squirrel on Mars. And here we see, oh, that's also typical, a band called Mouse on Mars. Mouths on Mars, perhaps. Oh yeah, that's more like it. But that's not it either, I think. Or is it just another Mojave desert squirrel? Express Go UK. Well, perhaps that was the other picture. I was looking for this bigger version. There might be an even bigger version of this picture. And the original NASA source, I think that would also be mention worthy. But the Mojave Desert Squirrel picture is better. I think with this one, it's easier to claim that this could be a rock that's just shaped this way, but why it is so much darker than the other rocks in this area. Well, perhaps just sheer size makes it darker, look darker on the picture, like these other rocks that are also darker. But there's other stuff for fake. That's one way you can use Google. Or DuckDuckGo, another anonymous search engine. Only the video results are not as good as Google, basically, but other than that you could argue it's better in some ways. DuckDuckGo.com. Of course they can use other locations as well. I'm wondering what it says here on the shield banner. Well, it's hard to say. FTCK or FWCK Yale Spirit. Nice. Could be real. And then they put this fake font on it to make everybody think it's fake. Trust no one, nothing is what it seems. The truth is often hidden in plain sight. Cancer chemtrails. Are bad. They're so bad. Ooh. They really are. So 27,000 times less variants are required to induce equivalent disease when dispersed in aerosol form, as covered by Medscape. Anyway, an air cleaner with an ionizer, that's an idea. Alright. So there's plenty of stuff about this, even in Hebrew. Well, apparently it cannot play it. Rishon Israel in Israel. The other words I'm not certain of how to pronounce them, but I know the letters, of course. I've studied Hebrew, Aramaic and Semitic languages at the University of Amsterdam for a while. Amsterdam's a nice city. Many coffee shops. There's a map of coffee shops in Amsterdam online. Tinfoil hats are of course aluminum foil hats, not tin. There's no tin in it, aluminum. So obviously they want to call it tinfoil to mislead the public. Anyway, I can do another measurement video to show how well aluminum foil blocks cancer cell phone radiation, aka microwaves. And in reality they shield very well. Cancer UMTS is shielded with a factor 300 and cancer GSM with a factor 200. 200 times less cancer cell phone radiation behind the foil than in front of it. Not surprised. So the pyramidal structure is also occurring in nature. Minerals also often have pyramid shape. I collect crystals also. This one is very cool. It's really very dusty, I have to rinse it. I think it's an aqua aura quartz or something like that. So it was treated, but it's a natural quartz crystal mineral that produces the piezo electricity we all desire or need. Bio life force energy. It's also in the Earth's crust. You can light a light bulb with a quartz crystal by pinching it. At least I saw a video of it once. So how to connect the electrodes, that's beyond me, but it was in the video. And I have no doubt piezo electricity is real. So if you don't know what it is yet, check it out. Wikipedia, the free CIA Vatican edited encyclopedia is there for you all. So you might find some lies on Wikipedia as well. They can simply claim it's edited by the people and they take no responsibility for whatever they write on Wikipedia. I can get through your metal detector. Okay, we can check the news for today. I can do anything. So there's a lot of material that I'm not covering that is online. This was just the cost of these NASA hoaxes, these NASA scams, the NASA Masons. Wearing their Freemasonic rings and making their Freemasonic handshakes in space, etc. It's all documented. First, check the fake news if they have any new plots against the population of planet Earth, like they always do. So make no mistake about it, this is not the news you see here. It's a selection of events and stories they want you to be programmed with, to get more money, to create polarization, to depopulate the earth and rule the world from Jerusalem, to impose a Satanic Luciferian, totalitarian global government upon the population of planet Earth. The government is criminal, okay? Though I think that's wrong to say, there are good people in the government as well. Or is that a lie? Are there none? It's just a theory. And of course we need them to stay good and control the factors that control aging in time. Watch live. Oh, I could cover that as well then. Do a separate broadcast about it. Not working too long on the thumbnail. Live UN Security Council meets to discuss the Syrian missile strikes. Brought by the Washington Post. Live video coverage. But this is already a recording, I think, and you have to view forward. It's sloppy. They could cut off the beginning if it's not live anyway. Or is it still going on? Go to the end. It's 9 hours 26 minutes, okay. And Netherlands.
I call upon all members of the Security Council to support a collective, meaningful response to the use of chemical weapons. But even if this council fails to act, it should be clear to the world that the use of chemical weapons is never permissible.
Well, to take appropriate action, you'd first have to prove beyond any reasonable doubt who did the chemical attack. I think there are not many people that doubt that there was a chemical attack. There are also pictures of it, and of blue children and children foaming at the mouth, etc. Some people bleeding also. Coughing up blood because of the chemical attack. So if Putin claims there was no chemical attack, then that's tantamount to claiming these people are crisis actors and that it's all fake, which can be seen as a form of psychological warfare, part of a real war that is waged against the people of planet Earth. They want to depopulate and destroy countries. And of course George Soros' EU superstate is just a stepping stone to that Satanic Luciferian totalitarian global government. The people may pretend they want because they're afraid to be tortured with directed energy weapons or to end up in a FEMA death camp, concentration camp. Trains with shackles and barbed wire to keep them in, not to keep people out, and incinerator ovens, etc. even a picture of one of these gas tanks. So Jesuits and Masons have infiltrated the government. They control the judges, the police, and military with directed energy torture weapons and with synthetic telepathy. So fair trial is impossible. So people should stop underestimating it, and the mainstream media covers it all up. Reporting about cancer cell phone and spying on your cancer cell phones and emails instead of synthetic telepathy, spying on your brainwaves, and 37 million dead honeybees to cover up 37 people died of a genetically modified organism, a GMO. Food as a sterilizing depopulation murder weapon. Also covered by controlled opposition Alex Jones. So if they cover it, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a lie. It just means they're fake, to put it bluntly, and they work with these Jesuits, with Jesuit buddies, etc. So their view count is also going down. But still, I think the mainstream media have a lot of everything, money and power, and the ability to broadcast live is nice, unless you don't have any viewers. So, and I haven't really found, I've searched a little bit to find other people that cover the news, just the daily news we see in the mainstream media, and reflect upon that and see it in the light of a person that's truly exposing wrongdoing and showing the way to paradise, or paradise on earth rather, a real utopia, not a fictional utopia. And Wikipedia claims that utopia is always fictional, so that's why you have to add non-fictional utopia if you're smart, and you probably use words most people can understand to reach the maximum audience, the maximum amount of viewers, the maximum amount of people, to achieve that goal as fast as possible. So that's basically for another broadcast, you could argue. So to find some NASA news, you can also Google NASA and then choose news. Oh, it's already on news, okay. So I think satellites are real. Anything that's observable from Earth. Also, you have Astra satellites. You have to point your satellite dish at them to receive a signal, so it makes sense that they're real, basically. And they are geostationary, so they cover a part of the planet Earth where you can then receive that signal. So they travel along with the Earth spinning at the same speed. So then the question is if space travel is possible at all, and if not, why not? The Van Allen belts and the other points that I mentioned. So a car pushes the road, a plane pushes the air, a boat pushes the water to move forward, but in space there is no air or water or road, I wrote. So then how can it maneuver in space? Why can't the U-2 spy plane just fly into space, basically? So satellites would also prove that the dome is not real, there is no dome, the Earth is not flat. And most people are right about these things. They might be wrong about other things that I cover in my broadcasts. But I think that people that claim that the Earth is oblong or spherical are right. It's ball-shaped, not cubical or flat. Like a sheet of paper, then you could dig a hole and fall out the other end of the Earth, basically. You wouldn't have underground cities made with the nuclear power drill called the subterranean. Like you do now, if you pay tax money. You own it. You own it now. Okay, so get ready for the next big thing in NASA's search for Earth's twin. Hey, big spender. NASA's planet hunting test telescope launches Monday aboard a SpaceX rocket. TechCrunch. How NASA's planet hunting test telescope will find habitable worlds. Space.com. NASA announces winners of weather-shortened rover challenge. NASA's new satellite will scan the cosmos for alien worlds. Soar over Jupiter's monster Paulet storms. Soar over Jupiter's monster polar storms with this stunning NASA video. Space.com. NASA hopes to have Boeing delivering astronauts to the space station sooner than planned. Perhaps they can have one of these little cameras recording 720p or even 1080p. Not 4K, that's too high. One shot from when they go into the space shuttle until they are in space, perhaps even doing an EVA, an extravehicular activity, aka moonwalk. NASA may extend space station missions to address potential commercial crew delays. NASA begins building next Mars rover for 2020 launch, April 10, 2018, space.com. Will Smith, NASA astronaut, talk poop, smells, and sex in space. Well, at least you don't have to vacuum. This NASA engineer from Alabama is a good man to see on your flight. LEGO's Bat Space Shuttle is a fun way to mark NASA's STS-1 anniversary. That's so dark. New NASA Planet Hunter is launching 1 week from today. NASA tracks Greenland glaciers to understand climate change. NBCnews.com, April 10th. About 17,000 big near-Earth asteroids remain undetected. How NASA could spot them. Wireless energy, scalar waves sometimes travel faster than the speed of light. So trust no one, nothing is what it seems. Test everything you learn. Recovery begins with non-compliance. Depart from evil and do good. Trust no one, nothing is what it seems. Okay. So that's it for